Yeah, thank you so much to everyone who contacted me after the video I made a fortnight ago. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Most of them are men. Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone. And thank you also to the ladies. Somebody told me the meaning of poppycock. But if I have to put it in peace and poppycock, I still don't know the meaning, okay? So thank you so very much. I appreciate. Um, One of the high points of the messages I got, the written one, was a colleague, a male colleague and a Muslim, who sent me a chat and asked about my mental health and my stress level. So I would like to touch on the stress level today and talk about maybe the mental health sometime later. Although stress and mental health are kind of a hybrid and interconnected, so I'm just going to be, revealing some things today, and I'm just going to be saying them just the way they are. So they are not fairy tales, they are not super story, they are not tales by moonlight, they are my reality. And some people have been at the receiving end before me, but I am choosing to speak out because that is what I'm made for. I'm choosing to speak out. So it happened that in sometime in 2021, I worked at a place where a lot of bad things happened, including to me, like multiple workplace sexual assaults. The day I took the confidence to report it was the day I was punched in my left eye, and the black spot is still in my left clara till date. So um, after that, I never knew that I would be the one to be rendered redundant and dismissed from work, even though I'm the victim. So, well, Nigerians in the UK were telling me this is what's obtainable. Better start looking for work. So, 4 months after I started looking for work, when the reality dawned on me, then I got some shifts somewhere in, because I had established contacts back in Cambridgeshire where those things happened. I got, the contacts there sent me some, potential workplaces, and I started work again. And being what it is, you have to tender your, there's some information you have to tender that's going to be on your database, and it's going to be seen by some specific people, technologically and electronically. And I noticed there was this place I worked, and same Cambridgeshire, and while I was eating their meal, during our break time, sometimes some staffs are allowed to eat some meals. So I realized that I was experiencing numbness on my feet, numbness, my toenails were just becoming numb. So I felt like maybe it's my own metabolism, my own body that is being too sensitive to, Caucasian food. So I was just being picky and about what I choose to eat. Without divulging this information to any colleague there, a Caucasian lady approached me one day and said that in the same workplace that she is experiencing numbness in her stomach, and I still did not reveal to her what I was experiencing, but I noted that down in my mind. So um, when it now got to the stage where I was now very picky about what I eat and blah blah blah, then it got to a stage I overheard one of the chefs talking about whiskey. Like I couldn't really decipher the what he was trying to say, but I should just I just you know thought in my mind that if a chef can be talking about the word whiskey when food hygiene is supposed to be something safety, then I better be careful. But it just happened that that day, whatever was served, I never even ate out of it at all. Whatever was served, and the patients that ate out of it, at least one upstairs and another one downstairs, at least two vomited seriously. It was so bad, so bad. Even I was scared because I walked upstairs and it was so scary. And Datex and what do you call it? Incident report has to be done, I believe, for things like this. So fast forward, I think it was October 1st. Yeah, it should be October 1st because I could remember without just any reasonable grounds. You just notice hostilities against you and blah blah like that. So it happened that I was assigned. Okay, before I was assigned to do a particular task, I saw somebody down was the maintenance guy in one of my former working place. I tried to exchange pleasantries, but the person was not reciprocating, so I just minded my business. This is a different workplace, so it came in with something like a fire extinguisher container. The contents, I don't know. I think maybe it came with a bucket too. I can't really recollect if my memory serves me right, whether it's a bucket and a fire extinguisher. So, not too long when he left, I was assigned to take food upstairs to the patients. If I had a premonition that something was up these people's sleeves, I would have, improvised and just put the food trolley in the old school type of elevator and go pick it up upstairs. But because I had no premonition about that, I took the food and myself into the old school elevator, and by the time I came back, I was feeling like dropping in. I was like in an unconscious state. It was mere unconsciousness that I was really concerned, because I still have some hours to go to support patients, and you have to support people. You have to support patients in the UK with all of your energy. Seriously, it even causes musculovascular diseases to some people, some healthcare workers in the process. So while I was trying to support a particular dementia patient to wherever in the world, I overheard the assistant manager said, "Not yet," and so I retorted at her because I knew something has gone wrong. So I was like, "Not yet what?" And she never said anything like, "Oh, you talking to me?" or she never said anything. So okay, not yet what? Not too long from that, I think the manager called me and was like, "Where have I been?" Blah blah. I said I went to do some tasks that was assigned. She said I didn't tell people my whereabouts. I mean, they asked me to do something, and I just went to do, because if you don't do it, it's another kettle of fish. So I said I went to do the task I was designated to do. She said, "Oh, the reason she's talking about this is because some time ago there was this lady." She named the name of the lady. I think I still remember the name of the lady. So it was like the lady was walking on the ward, and before they knew it, she slumped on the downstairs corridor where I said the deputy manager was saying, "Well, not yet." And when she slumped, she died. So I got the real message. Oh, so this is the plan these people were making, scheming. About that same day, I called a Nigerian I met here, and I told him what had transpired, and he told me that must have been carbon dioxide, and whoever had entered the elevator within 30 minutes when it was used usually die and things like that. And that was approximately the time I also entered the elevator, but by God's grace I'm alive. So he instructed me, and I did comply. He said, "Don't sleep in that room that night. All of the food you have there that is yours, because I had provisions, don't eat them, discard them." I didn't discard everything, because then I was very rich. So I made sure I did not sleep in that room that night. He instructed me to call the ambulance. I did call the ambulance for help, but they never turned up. And this is the correspondence they sent me. Though they sent it in November, you can see the date here, October, although they didn't write the specific date, but it happened on October 1st. Because the next morning I just had to leave that premises. I stopped all the shifts I was doing. My life is more important than money. By God's grace, I'm going to have money, so my life is very, very important. So that was how I stopped working there, despite the block shifts they were giving me. Now, fast forward to 2023. I don't think I've experienced anything like chemical, blah, blah, since then, but fast forward to 2023, at the Employment Tribunal, Watford. I went there, and the proceedings was just off the beat, off the hook. The Employment Tribunal tried to set me against the Yoruba elderly interpreter, saying that I was insulting him. I was like, the man knows I'm not insulting him. I know I'm not insulting him. After the Employment Tribunal hearing, we sat down together, we were chatting. He requested for my number. We exchanged numbers. We talked at length for about 1 or 2 hours. We talked about racial discrimination, and it was like, you know, you can't stop this. You know, you can't, stop it. I was like, well, I'm not going to take what is not necessary. Don't let me belabor you with too much stories. While I was exiting the employment tribunal, Watford, on that fateful day, 26th of May 2023, there were 3 entrances in the hotelier fashion. One was particularly in the hotelier fashion, like this, in a circuit, where you enter and you push the glass and it goes round like that. So there was one by my left while trying to exit. There are other 2 entry-exit doors. I saw a cleaner outside cleaning the one at the extreme. So I just felt like, okay, let me use the one at the extreme left. And while I had already entered the exit, pushing and trying to exit, the guy at the extreme, the Caucasian guy at the extreme, my extreme right, came all the way down to where I was going to exit and sprayed a chemical to the 3rd floor of my exit directly, and I inhaled such, and it affected my breathing. I had shortness of breath and a kind of choking pain. I complained about that to the employment tribunal. They said they are not the owner of the building. They never referred my complaints to the owner of the building till date. I was concerned, and the employment tribunal case I had then was with respect to the same 2021. Place where I worked and had all those multiple abuses, sexual assaults, and injury to my eyes, and blah blah. So that went by. If you recall, last year I made a video of where I was served a Section 21, notice, in a Pakistani tenancy that I had, and while I nailed the chemical laden paper, I started, the next morning I started noticing blood in my nostrils, dropping, and apologies to those who are too sensitive. This was was a product of what happened that day. So, and it really, really did affect me in other ways too, but this was a physical product of what actually happened. So, and when I reported to the police, because I had to report, I think this one happened on the 8th of June 2023. When I reported to the police, one of the policemen, who appeared to be also maybe Asian, Pakistani, Middle East, whatever, distracted my attention. I was talking about a cat passing by. I was like, I'm talking to you about a chemical that made me bleed. The blood was still fresh. What's the nexus between what I'm telling you and a cat passing by? And you want me to actually answer you about a cat that I know nothing about. So I was really, really gobsmacked. I was like, what kind of policeman is this? So that aside, we all know the story. I got a new apartment. But the thing about this is that you cannot be too careful for evil people. You cannot. So I got a different apartment, minded my business. You can never even mind your business in the UK, because it's like the spirit of intrusiveness is in the UK. Like, it's so deep. Even if you don't tell them your personal life, they will delve deep into your personal life and fish out everything, your personal details. So it happened that this new place, I started noticing some things, intrusion into there's something called communal fridge. You have to use general fridge. Some people buy their own fridges. You use communal kitchen spaces depending on the kind of rent you get. If it's not ensuite, even some ensuite studio, I did studio when I came in, we shared kitchen. There's some, both kitchen and your bathroom facilities, you are within your own flat. So, but this one is a shared accommodation. That's what I can afford. So I just started noticing intrusion into my personal life, and I felt like this is not safe. So that's just aside, that's just secondary. Then sometime in December, no, before December, in November, I noticed that my let me close the door here. So sometimes in November, I just noticed that I was cooking and my pots are always in the communal space. So I'll be cooking and the food, I'll be falling sick. And when I'm falling sick, I'm wondering what's happening. My urine was changing coloration. I was urinating like bloody urine, blood in my urine. So I was like, what's happening to me? I noticed my pot had some funny coloration. So when I realized my pots were having some strange coloring and it was affecting my health, I picked up the pots and I took them indoors. Then the kettles also, I realized the kettles, the communal kettle, I was just falling sick just like that. Just like that. Then on December 16, yeah, I came back home and I realized it appears chemical was in my room. I was like, my door is shut, though there's an height to my door where the doorknob, where, but excuse me, I just could not fathom, the extent of human wickedness. I'm giving this analogy because there's a narrative that came out recently where there's this Nigerian content creator in the United Kingdom was complaining about that Nigerians are killing Nigerians in diaspora. It may be so, it may not entirely be so, because if you look at the common denominator is the UK. They came back into the UK. They all came back into the UK before they died. So don't think because some Nigerians are in the UK, they don't have the capacity to do some egregious, insane things. Or some Caucasians don't have the capacity to do some really, really insane things. That's just what I want to say as to that. So as to my pots in the communal area, have you understand? This is when I realized it, when I came to the full realization that something is going off the bait, off the hook. This is one of my pots. This is the frying pot. I don't know if you can see the white substance. Even if you wash it away, you have to scrub this away before it goes. So that was how I was able to. When I realized this, I had to scrub this off, but before then I'd been cooking with it. So there was a day I was to boil water from the kettle. I realized the kettle was just too whitish. It was not chlorine because there's hard water in the UK, so it's not the residue of chlorine. I mean, everywhere. So I was like, at some point I was washing the communal kettle then. After I washed it, I just like, I'm going to order a new kettle. So I ordered my new kettle because at least that's what people will say. If this is happening, look for a solution, order a new kettle. If your pots are being, laced with chemical, take your things in. So I did all of that. I took my pots in. I bought a new kettle, and that was not satisfactory to these evil people. December 16, I came back and I realized somebody called me and I felt like that person needed encouragement, so I encouraged her even though it was close to midnight. So I encouraged her into the middle of the night. I took 2 apples. I bought 6 apples. I've eaten 2 out of it. I never felt sick when I did that. Now I took 2 apples that fateful night, and immediately I took those 2 apples. I laid on the bed. I started coughing seriously, serious coughing. Simultaneously, my toes started itching seriously. When my toes started itching seriously, I was like, this is not good at all. I don't know if you can see, my feet got inflamed in the process. My toes got inflamed in the process. I'm going to show you some pictures now so that it doesn't sound as if I'm telling fables or fictional stories. So you see, yeah, that's my right foot. There's another one, and this got swollen even into January. See, you can see the way this is inflamed. You can see the way this is inflamed. So, and also the second toenail. So, so it was so bad. Not too long, I saw something that looked like a bit of a rash, not more than this size. I don't like the sight of it, but so from this size, it became so inflamed. This is at the time I was self-treating myself. You can see, and like, not that one is dirty or not keeping hygiene, this thing, and I believe it's the chemical that actually resulted in. I've treated myself by God's grace because it is God that gives the wisdom to be able to do these things. So, and now this is no more there. With this, I couldn't even wear my shorts anymore. But now I can wear my shorts, my jean shorts, and blah blah like that. So, and that was on the 16th of December, right? A couple of days after, I realized there were two birds, at least there were two birds that usually trap